So, I was going to take a minute to explain all the systems that are integrated into Mad Max Midnight Run. So, we have one input gathering system, and basically what this does, so these are all the keys that are being used. And we have a movement system and an action system that are separated. And when you press a key, the sensor emits the keyboard sensor or the joystick sensor, and then it runs through the input and checks to see if it's in the dictionary. And if it is, then it adds this little list to the end of the um, list. So what you end up with is a tuple of these little lists. And then down here, I sort the list right here. And then I copy the first entry off of each mini list to another list if it's not already in the list. So what this does is, say you're pressing Xbox controller up and you're pressing W and you're pressing the up arrow at the same time, and all those keys are bound and they all say forward, only one of them will be copied. So what this does is it serializes the list and it removes the doubles. And then the list itself is piped directly to the actor. So here's an example of an actor controller. So we have the GOP states up at the top. This looks up the UI to add the controller's health and lives if they're not already added there. This looks up their hand and their feet for ray casting for attacks. And then this is to see if you can pick something up, P-check. This puts a little exclamation point over the player's head. And this runs the reset timer down and the run clock down. If a actor's run clock reaches 0, his script shuts off, so he doesn't cost any resources. As much resources, actually. And this is the ground ray. I use that to tell if the actor's on the ground, but you could also use a sensor, which would probably be better, so that if you have your feet hanging off an edge, the actor won't get stuck or something. So now we have the GOP section. So these are goal-oriented programming. Some of them are just like passive, like driving. You don't do anything except for play the riding animation. And then others are much more active, like navigate. This is to climb into a target, to get in a car or something like that. The riding state actually looks up controls to see if controls exist. So then, here, just one moment. And then, so if you're on top of a car and you hit punch and there's a driver in the car, it'll punch the driver. I don't have an animation for attacking below you yet, like a downward punch or a, to basically punch in the window of the car to hit the driver. But the state's there, and he just plays a regular punch for now. This is jump to a vehicle that's above you, jump to a vehicle that's below you. It does a ray check to see if they're there. This is the dead state. Jump to car, and when the actor dies, it pops its state over to an inactive state and suspends its physics, so the actor doesn't cost anything except for the visual component. I should actually deactivate all actuators, that way they don't have an animation cost. So these are all GOP actions. Navigate, enter vehicle, swinging, picking up, punching. So these are states, but not the transitions. The transitions are below there. So here I define all the GOP actions. And there's a property called act strip, and you could have like walk over here, climb in the vehicle, climb out of the vehicle. You could have like a complicated strip of actions, and the actor will run them and then pop it off the list and run the next one, pop it off the list, run the next one. And then these are movements and actions that don't have a time associated with them. If they have a time associated with them, then they add to the act strip, and the act strip runs it like this. These merely gather data and init an animation or that kind of thing. So like punch, if you press the punch button, it looks up to see if you have a weapon in your hand, and if you don't, then it plays punch, but if you do, it plays the action inside of the object. So like a gun is different than a sword, is different than a dagger or whatever. And then down here is the key bindings. So the input, like the string punch, as a list, will trigger punch. And this makes it really easy. So the car script is the same thing. The car runs literally almost the exact same script, except for the animation states are all gone and the navigate is different. And then you can't go backwards in the car. So basically, I can use the same code that drives the friendlies. Oh yeah, I should probably show that. So this is what runs the bad guys. So basically, it looks up all of the enemies in the scene, and then, if they're close enough to the actor, right here, if they're within 3.5 units, then attack, that's down here. But if you're less than 60 units, navigate to the enemy. And then if you don't have an axe strip, if you're not driving, or if you don't have an axe strip, navigate. If you do have an axe strip and it's not driving, then navigate. And then if you are driving, this is the code that lets the enemy agents drive the cars. And this is what separates the semi's behavior from a car's behavior. And that's what controls the enemies. It actually uses the exact same system as the player, as just pipes game commands to the enemy to control them just like a player would. So that way, player 1, player 2, the AI, anyone can control any agent. So we'll play the game now. I didn't get to finish, I only had a week, and I worked full-time, overtime. So there was a lot of stuff that I didn't get to implement, like the car battles didn't get fully implemented. So fighting the crowd is probably not a good idea because they're just as strong as you. If I go over here and pick up a weapon, it kind of evens things out a little bit, but they'll still beat me up pretty good if I get in a fight with them. I can like walk away and peck at them like this, and try not to get hit, but it still is usually going to end badly for me. So I'm going to drop this sword, pick up this bomb. So everything you see here was made from scratch, except for the serializer. I had the kind of the guts and resources on Blender Game Engine resources and Blender Artist, and I just didn't really feel like rewriting that code, so I grabbed that. So all but about maybe 20 lines of code was written from scratch for this project in a week. Multi-delete I got from Stack Exchange. It's for Python for deleting multiple elements from a list. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this bomb on, drop it, kind of hang out here for a second, and jump. So this part was supposed to be a lot longer, the car battle, and I just really didn't get to do enough. But it works. So right now I'm just piping those same inputs to the car instead of the actor. Haha! So this is what I was talking about with the riding on top of the car and the punching state. I didn't really do a separate animation for it. And then I stole his car. So I was going to have you battle a semi more like the Mad Max movie and have the semi-truck be like a boss, but it just didn't work right. I didn't have enough time to finish it, and I was cutting down the line, and I just cut it. So you drive this way for a while, and it says that you won. So game was made in a week with Blender Game Engine, and all of the systems in it are modular to design to be expanded.